and today we're going to be talking about budgets. Now, there are a lot of ways to plan for your money. There are a lot of ways you can go about creating those plans. You can call them a lot of stuff, a lot of names. There's name calling sometimes. But I've actually tried 4 of the most talked about, of the most common budgets out there. And I'm going to tell you which one I personally use and which one and why I like it. Okay? So, to start us off, we're going to talk about those 4 different ways of budgeting. Now, when I say the word budget, I mean, sometimes I want to roll my own eyes. I get it. People roll eyes and they think, oh gosh, here we go. This is no way of living. We only live once. Hey, I get you. But at the same time, and until I understood this was like a turning point for me. Until I understood that creating a budget actually gave me freedom. It's like, some people say, and I heard this yesterday, I will try to figure out who said it. Only people who have discipline are truly free. The others are just slaves on laziness or their lack of motivation because they never get doing anything. So they just stay in that rut. While if you are disciplined, you're going to do it no matter what. I'm working on it myself. And with your budgets, that's actually what happens, because I've realized that before I had a plan for my money, I would spend and I would then be thinking, did I really have money for this? Do I really need this? Now it's done. How well? We'll see. And then I'd stress until that credit card bill came, or until I needed to go to the supermarket and I had no more money. And that was stressful. That was just eating at me. Since I did create that plan for my money, I now allocate an amount that I can spend every month on whatever I want. I can save it for myself. I can spend it on coffee. I can give it away. I can do whatever I want. I mean, it's a limited amount of money, true, but it took so much stress away from guessing and second guessing myself. Can I afford this? Do I have the money to pay for this? Is this money going to be needed for something else until the end of the month? That was just too much. That took too much headspace. So that's really, until you understand this, you're going to feel a little bit about your budget, especially when you are still in a situation that you don't have that amount of money that you want to have in a pile to do, just to have in case anything happens or in case you want to buy something, okay? It's just not for catastrophes, although it can very, very well turn a catastrophe into a minor inconvenience, which is awesome. That alone is worth a lot. So I'll just leave you with that and let's get to our budgets. Okay, so I'll start with the traditional budget, which is actually what everybody who doesn't have a budget kind of does. But they don't do it very well because, and I used to do this, but before I got to the end of the month, what is that say? You have too much month after your money is finished. Yeah, there was still too much month to live on and we had already no money. So that's the traditional budget. It's when you have income and you have expenses. So you make 5,000. From those 5,000, you take away your expenses, and the rest is the money you're going to live on, for your not needs but wants, and to save or to pay off debt, whatever it is, okay? So that's the traditional kind of budget that everybody more or less has to do or does. Money comes in, expenses come out. Whatever's left is for your wants and your savings. Then we have your pay yourself first. Now, this one is good if you are trying to save aggressively. And that's really the only situation that I would tell you to use this budget, because it can be, you can get tired of it very soon. I know that if my sole objective was to save money for more than, let's say, 3 months, I'll just go nuts, because with this pay yourself first, you're going to agree on an amount of your income that you're going to save. Let's say you earn 5,000, you decide that 10% or 20%, which is 1,000, is going into savings, and you have 4 to live on. But if you have car payments, credit cards, rent or mortgage, insurance, I mean, you go through those $4,000 very, very quickly, and you may not have any spending money. Just depends how aggressively you are trying to save. And that can be very, tiring. But if you are someone who is a spender, having this kind of budget and be aggressive about saving means that you are cutting completely on your spending. And that's probably not going to help you stick with a budget. So I'll be very careful about this one. This one is the one that savers usually use, this kind of budget to pay yourself first, because they love saving money. But then they're out of balance. And if you love saving and you're just cutting everything off your life, you're alone, it's fine until it isn't, but it's fine mostly. But when there's a partner involved, when there's a family, that can be very, very stressing for the partner that is not a saver and is a spender, and they can find themselves limited, and they can find themselves, really thinking, I hate budgeting, because they're not doing it the right way. And before I go on to the other two types of budgets that I've tried, I just want to tell you that this is your life. This is your financial life. It's your money. So you should be the one deciding how you want to go about it. And anything I tell you here, it's my own experience. It's what worked for me and what didn't work for me. So keep that in mind. And whatever you decide to do, whatever budget you decide to do or to try or whatever, remember that it's not written in stone. You can tweak it and you can change it to fit your life. Because there are people that just pay too much rent. We pay a lot of rent where we live, but we choose to live here. So we have to cut on other areas. But if we did live somewhere cheaper, maybe we'd allocate our money differently, our percentages, or however you want to go about it. So again, start with something that has rules, like, that you can follow, but remember that's not set in stone. You can change it, and you are going to, I'll give it about 3 months, to try it out, to see what's working, what's not working. And remember, you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes, and I've been doing it for years. I sometimes don't want a budget because I think, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. And guess what? It's so easy to just pull out my debit card and spend. So sometimes I do need a reality check myself, and it's okay. I sometimes make crazy spending decisions, and then I pay for it like everybody else, right? So just keep that in mind. It's okay. And it's okay to just, if you go off track, hey, you can always get back on track. Whatever you decide to start doing, whatever you start paying more debt, or even if you don't have that, saving a little bit more, hey, it's better than what you were doing before, because probably weren't doing anything, right? So it's better than that. Anything you do is better. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Going on to the 50-30-20 budget. So this is like 50% is for your living expenses, anything that you need to live, car payments, gas, food, whatever. It's 50% of your income. So again, you get 5,000, 2,500 is for your living expenses, 30% is for your wants, travel, sinking funds, whatever you're trying to work on, and then 20% for your savings and paying debt. Now, again, this will depend how much your living expenses really are. I know that our living expenses are high. We pay a lot of rent. Food is just crazy right now. Gas, well, let's not even talk about that. And so I try to lower it in other places like insurances, but we'll talk about that in another time. And then for the saving and debt, the 20%, it really just depends on your situation. If you have massive debt, I do still want you to start building that cushion, even if it's just a couple of dollars a month that you set aside. Because again, with saving, it's like building a muscle. It's like giving, If you can't give $10 a month to a cause or someone that you see on the street, or if you can't buy lunch for someone that you don't know, it's going to be a lot harder when you can afford it to do it, because you haven't created that habit. And we humans are creatures of habit. So I'd really like you to, start building that muscle. And it's the same with savings. If you don't save $5 a month, you will have a hard time saving $300 a month. I mean, I've been doing this for ages, and I still struggle with this. We have a savings account, my husband and I. We have our Get Rich Fund, which is there. We're very happy with it. We're trying to build on it. And then each of us, we have a little savings account. And I put my money there that I save, right? From my allowance and sometimes from my business, whatever. And almost every month, I end up going back to get some money. I know. But that's because I'm trying to build that muscle, and that's because of my blocks that I'm working on, right? I mean, it's getting easier, but at the beginning it was very hard. I decided that I was going because I don't really need a lot of money apart from, living expenses. But I mean, from my allowance, I don't really need anything. I mean, I don't go out for coffee. There's nowhere to go get coffee where I live. Groceries, I just buy whatever I want when I go to the supermarket, or what I mostly eat or drink. I can put some money away from my allowance and for my business. And at the beginning, I was thinking, no, I'm going to put 50 every month. And then I'd go back and get 20, and I'd feel guilty. But I shouldn't feel guilty, right? Because that was my allowance. I can spend it on whatever I want, and I can spend all of it, because that's not going towards any savings that we've decided we're going to do. It's not going towards any sinking fund, whatever. And I used to feel guilty. So I had to work on it. I had to work on myself and just, it's okay to go back and get the money, because you want to call it really doesn't matter. I don't like to associate negative words to my money and to my life in general. So it's a get rich fund, it's a going away, fund, it's a vacation fund, it's my millionaire fund, whatever. Call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's just, I try to be positive as much as I can when it comes to my money. Again, it will depend how much you save, how much you spend. although I would like you to try to have both. If you can't, then first, just have a little buffer for yourself, like 1,000 or 2,000 set aside, because car repairs, anything that you may need, so that you don't go out and reach for a credit card that then you can't pay at the end of the month. So I just set a small amount aside, and then I'd pay all the debt that I could as fast as I could, right? It's important, again, because there's interest attached to it, and it's, as long as you're paying debt, you're paying for somebody else's dream, not yours. So that's my own personal take on it, and I want to keep all my money, and I want to tell it where to go. So that brings us to my favorite budget system, which is a zero-based budget, or a zero balance budget. So what is that all about? A zero balance budget is one where we have our income coming in, expenses going out, and our budgets should equal zero. Now, why is it my favorite? Because I get to tell all my money where to go, and there's none left to budget. So again, we have 5,000 coming in. We go through it. We go through our expenses in order. So we have housing, we have transportation, food, and giving. We are givers. We give what we decide we're going to give. It's not 10%, it's not 20%, and it's not 5%. It's whatever we feel that we are comfortable with giving. Because again, it's a muscle we have to build. So whatever feels comfortable for you is what I would tell you to do. Okay, so we go through our housing. Okay, ours is expensive. It doesn't really matter. You just go through all of your expenses in order, and whatever's left is for your wants. And remember, I have a lot of categories here because I'm telling my money where to go. So I have housing and everything that goes with rent, electricity, house insurance. Then I have transportation, cars, car loans, insurance, whatever, gas, whatever's tied to transportation. Then food, groceries, eating out, whatever it is. Like, we like to get pizza once a week or every other week. So that goes into the food budget, because there are months we just simply can't afford it. So we won't do it those months, right? And there are other months that we can afford it, but we don't. So I kind of play with that. But I like to have the choice, if you will. Then if we have an amount stipulated for date night, it's in there. Our allowance, my husband and I's, is in there. Everything, insurance, bank charges, if we have any debt, everything is in there. And at the end, I have to have a zero. And I've been doing this for a while now, and there are months that I need an extra 2,000 to get by, which is not happening. So I have to go through all my categories and tweak them and change them. And sometimes we can do date night that week or that month. Sometimes we can't get pizza. Sometimes I really need to cut my grocery bill. And sometimes, wherever the savings is not all of it is going into savings, because we're self-employed. So I want to have a month in advance for all expenses and everything. And that's worked really well for us. But let's face it, we're living crazy times. Everything is just going up except our income. So we really need to be very careful with all of this. But again, I'm so grateful that I have this in place, because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and I can adjust it. If we can't do date night, we won't. But if I don't know where I'm at, I probably will do date night, go to a restaurant, and then just don't have money to pay insurance. And that's not going to happen. So it's good that you at least see it. Now, sometimes it doesn't quite work out in real life as it works on paper, but at least I have a guideline and I have the knowledge, I have all the information, and that gives me power. That gives me the choice. I can either stick to it and, like be stress-free, not worry about having enough money for whatever I'm, groceries or to pay bills, or I can know that and still make bad decisions. I mean, come on, there are months that happens. So let's start again. That's my take on it. So I hope this really helped you out to create your budget and see which one you might identify with better. I mean, the simplest one would be like 50-30-20. 50, it's just what it is. It's living expenses, and 30. And then again, feel free to tweak it and put like 60-20-20, or it all depends on your own personal situation. And that's what I do when I work with people to create a plan for their money. That's exactly what we do. We go through their financial situation, the money coming in, the money going out, and we're going to tweak it, and they're going to try it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a week, and they come back with, oh, this doesn't work, I can't do that, or that's not good. And it's fine, we just tweak it. And there's another perspective. I always like to give other perspectives.